Yo, what is good, my anime faithful? What is good, yo? Guys, Boruto is... mm, it's interesting. I want to say that because there's old characters in here that I want to see the future of, that's the real reason and saving grace to why I'm talking about it, but with this week's episode, we get a good understanding as to why one of our characters in the new generation just aren't capable of pretty much using both of his parents' jutsu. So to actually see him practicing and getting a hang of both of them is a pretty scary sight, and it's one of those things that I actually want with the series. Like, I don't really care for everything before it in a sense, and because all these things keep happening over and over, we've only seen so much pop off with people using multiple jutsus, because not only have we been in a position where we've loved to see just how these characters grow after being off screen for so long, and mind you, a lot of these characters we get to see half the time are characters that would never get screen time all the time that they do now compared to later, or other characters, I should say. Learning about Shikadai and just how much talent he has. Excuse me. Figuring out how much talent he has. Not only that, he's already a Chuny, so he's already surpassed people in his own class. It's like, I think he's like the highest ranking person in his class now, like of the people that he grew up with. Which isn't surprising because of how intelligent he is and how he hasn't been spending as much time with Boruto since the beginning of the show that he was doing. And he's kind of gone down his own path now. They even fought each other in the tournament to kind of see who's the stronger out of the two. So we've gotten a good amount of comparison between Boruto and Shikadai in the case of just overall attributes of what they bring to the table and what they can do as a whole. But now that we see this week's episode, and even Shikadai's teammates are kind of on the fence about something, right? Like, they seem like they're relatively down about something, and not only that, with someone like Shikadai on their team, they didn't really feel like they were missing a lot of, like, points, right? So when I say points, I'm just saying as a team, they felt like they could pretty much do a lot of things that other teams couldn't, but because if Shikadai gets taken out or gets targeted first, they might not have so much of an easy time, without him. And that's kind of where this whole notion of this episode comes from, is the fact that whenever certain people start to fall in place and start to really change your perspectives on just how you see things in general, I hate that move. Um, you start to see just what types of things are out there for you to reach for. And because he felt like he had the drawing I'm talking about Shikadai's teammates. Because he thought he had just a drawing on deck, it would be okay, and that would get him by further. And whenever he used the mind jutsu, it just wasn't working. So he just didn't understand what he was doing wrong. And it only came down to him just not having real willpower, I guess you can say. Like, he just wasn't assertive. Um, and when he did try to go into assertive mode, it just didn't work, right? Like, it just wasn't something that people could actually change. People can't actually force him to start to do something, he has to do that for himself, and that's really what we see this week is him pushing a narrative of him having this will that his mom didn't even believe him to have, pushing forward the narrative of he can be, better than even what his leader knows him for and all this stuff. But mostly I was happy to see Sai and his wife just have some screen time because we don't even know how those two ended up together, to be fair. And I don't think a lot of people care, seeing how the deed is already done. But I don't see Bolden Toe going out of their way. Or, I don't know. Here's the thing about Bolden Toe. They could go out of their way and give us the backstory to how every single kid was created. And what combinations, like, how did these people find each other? Um, what made them stay together, and then, you know, if they were planning on having kids or if someone else was involved, all those different things can be included. And I feel like it's such an easy like missed opportunity that they should have already have taken because we know nothing really of how Sasuke and Sakura got together. We know nothing about how Metal Lee came about. There's so many new characters that we don't know how they actually came about in the case of why these characters choose each other or what kind of situation could have been at hand for them to choose each other. None of that stuff has been elaborated on, I feel like, besides Naruto and Hinata. And we got a little tease of it all in a movie of Naruto the Last that it was probably going to be a relationship sooner or later. But then next thing you know, she just has a kid for some people. Some people just show up after not watching the movie and being the last and all the movies that tie together to give you an understanding of what's coming. A lot of people didn't watch that stuff, and I didn't know that until I was just like, well, it looks like Hinata wins, and people are like, what are you talking about, bro? Like, everybody knows Sakura's gonna win. She doesn't even have anyone to be with. People actually thought Sakura was going to end up being the only one out of Team 7 without anybody at the end of the day, and I was like, come on, bro. Sakura. She could get Rock Lee if she really wanted to at any time. Like, she's one of the most prettiest girls at that time period for all the guys, so it would be hard to be like, oh yeah, she's gonna end up alone. Um, I feel like that couldn't have happened pretty much. But overall, as a whole, I'm looking forward to everything that comes forward with this stuff. Everybody's kind of been down on the series lately, but when you get stuff that actually makes you want to learn about your old characters and maybe even look into their new history, I think that's always awesome. But when it's just the people that I already don't care about and you see them growing, that's cool because they need to be strong enough to fill in the gaps of their parents, but at the same time, it's going to be one heck of a ride to be able to handle any threats that Naruto and Sasuke themselves have taken out or handled. So those are some ginormous shoes to fill, and I don't know if Boruto will be able to do it for me necessarily. Like, sure, he might live up to it in the series as a whole at the end of the day, but will he be cooler than Naruto, than Sasuke, than Gaara, Rock Lee, all these people I fell in love with as a kid? I don't know, and that's kind of the hope that he does, because I want to be able to come back to the show and want to watch it. I don't like to have shows that are bad to be able to bash them for their being bad. I like to have shows that maybe start off bad, but have potential to be as good as their predecessor. Um, they have a chance to be as good as the person that started it all. That's the thing that helps me want to watch more. But with all that being said, everybody, I hope you have an amazing day, night, evening, whatever the case may be. I will definitely try to keep up with Boruto, but I'm telling you right now, if it starts to fall off or feel a little bit lackluster, I'm dropping it again. With all that being said, peace. Yeah, my turn, Dad. Okay, okay. Wow, Boruto. This is why you shouldn't get a show.